Everyone will always underestimate you. You must make them pay for it.
My darling Beorn, we lost Ragnar. We lost Lagertha. Perhaps the golden age of the Vikings is gone.
We need you to live, to lead us.
The army is vast. Ivar is with him.
I don't think my destiny lies here. I have ambitions. When they dig up my bones, I want them to say, here is the most famous Viking who ever lived.
I have to find that golden lad. It's everything my father dreamed of. I'd rather die than return the filly.
So we commit our bodies to the deep.
I've been lost for so long.
I abandoned the brother I loved the most. Since it's my fate to kill you, it makes sense for me to stay with you, I suppose.
Kattegat is at our mercy. We're massively outnumbered.
So you have to just give it up.
Some of us will perish.
For a Viking, death is bliss.
Don't be afraid.
Andre de Luzon, your sword. Where were you first prepared to lead the temple?
In my heart.
And where was that heart tested?
In the field of battle.
By the grace of God, rise, Master of the Temple.
Rise, Master of the Temple.
And find us the Grail.
I should not be master, and I am not worthy to find the Grail.
Andre's not the Templar they think he is.
There is an army on French soil, loyal not to you, but to the Pope.
This is defiance. By God, Landry, I cannot allow it.
Something has happened, something extraordinary. Can change everything.
The Holy Grail is in France.
What better symbol to lead us back to the Holy Land?
The Pope must be dealt with, and we must recover the Grail for ourselves.
The temple is not safe for you or the Grail. This will be the death of you.
The armies of God will be reborn.
What does this mean, my lord?
It means war.
I have given my life to the Grail.
What kind of queen would I be if I did not defend my people?
The ones we love the most are the ones most likely to betray us.
Welcome all. I'm your host, Sully, and with me, I brought even more uncanny guests. I brought the biggest fan of the Who Would Win podcast and occasional podcast guest himself, Beorn Turner.
Hey, how's it going? Beorn, yep.
Beorn Turner.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Anytime, long time coming. I just knew you were into kind of epic movies and shows, and I figured, hey, we could describe another one that is pretty popular, but you don't always just like around the corner get it. Hey, there's a fan of the show Vikings. You know, it's not as clear cut as, I don't know, any other kind of fandom. You're not going to just see them on the street.
Yeah, it is weird. I guess now that you mention it, it's like a closet fandom in a way. You hear people like talk
giant
about other
seasons.
things, and you go, "Oh yeah, I like it." But obviously, it must have liked enough people who watched it to have 6 seasons, and then 2 more, a third coming with the spinoff. You know,
Yep.
so it was a hidden thing, unless you're totally into Norse and you see the people like wearing shirts that say my dad's Ragnar, or my other ship's a long ship and stuff like that.
Oh man. What before we get into this and try and describe it and either recommend or not, spoiler, we're totally gonna recommend it. What would you say mainly gets you into a movie or show that makes you say, "Hey, this is worthy of my time. It's really captivating," as opposed to filler, and I forget that it's on?
That's a good question, because I have a whole slew of different things. Like my wife and I right now are watching House. I saw a lot of the House shows when they were originally out.
Yeah.
And she's never seen any of them.
Nice.
So I introduced her to her, and it just sucks you in the mystery of it, and the jokes, and
the grit,
the grit, and also the interplay of the characters. Like you see how much of a dick House is, but then it's the people still rally around him and are friends to him and try to help him out. He helps them out, and so it's stuff like that. I mean, other show like Babylon 5 was one of my favorite sci-fi shows.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that show.
Great
and
stuff.
it's the characters, the way they interact. If you don't have good characters at its core, I mean, you could be a cheesy ass, they're doing it in front of cardboard cutouts as a background, but if you don't have the characters, and interaction between them, that's going to suck.
Totally. I'm the same way with anything. The Office and Boston Legal, we love the outrageous characters and what they're going to do next, so I'm in it to win it. I like Bosch and the FBI shows because I actually like the whole staging of it. I'm not just waiting for who dies next and we solve their gory crime scene. Same deal with a freaking mystery or sci-fi show. B5's a big one, but even Battlestar Galactica and The Expanse, those are captivating. With a horror anthology, I mean, there's been some captivating recent ones like Lovecraft Country, and but I always like it when people take a page from Tales from the Crypt. It's like, see, this is a moral story. This is not just we're gonna do crazy stuff and have gore on screen.
Right. A good example of the opposite. When I was younger, Night Court, loved that show.
Oh, there you go.
Then they did a reboot of it, not a reboot, a continuation. It was like Harry's daughter, and had John Larroquette in it, same character and all that. It was horrible. I watched the first episode and couldn't get into it because there was no chemistry with the characters.
I was hesitant given the cheap production values. I actually was surprised by the premiere of Frasier. I wasn't digging the trailer. I'm like, it's not gonna be the same without Niles or Daphne. And then I see it, and it's like, I can drive with this. It's the same filmmakers compared to the other ones and other reboots where, again, it just, if it doesn't feel like a cash grab, it just doesn't feel like it need to be revisited.
Right. And I agree, because I mean, this would be technically the third iteration of Frasier, because he was in Cheers and then Frasier itself, and now back to Boston.
There we go.
And I was surprised. So I was looking forward to it, but I'm like, oh, please don't do a Night Court. Just don't do it like Night Court. And it was good. I didn't see episode 2 yet, but I watched episode 1 of Frasier last night. I really enjoyed it. It was
so surprising, man. Yeah. Also, were you familiar with any of these actors prior? I knew Travis Fimmel from a few movies, but you might know him from Raised by Wolves, and he was on this Patrick Swayze cop show that was also on A&E.
No, see, I mean, the one guy, the other professor, the English professor, looked familiar. I guess seen him in passing, but I couldn't put my finger on who he was, so I looked him up. Like, oh, okay, I've seen like clips and stuff and things, and other people I've watched shows with.
They got a lot of like people who have been on stuff like the Law and Orders and Chicago Fire type shows, both cast and crew. But it's interesting how they also, you look at the average directors and they've helmed plenty of other similar sword and sandal epics like Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, and Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah. And what's the Wheel of Time?
The Wheel of Time, yes, that was another one I saw on a few people's credits. It's like, yep, you guys are now the go-to for making giant, Gladiator, Kingdom of Heaven type epics, but on the small screen.
But it's interesting when you see how much crossover there is, because I mean, once you get in, you're putting the door to anything. You just see everybody just sort of meld around and go. So like, hey, I know a guy that does this, teaches battle axe fighting styles, really. So let's get him here, and this person's a great costumer. Let's bring them here.
Give him the title, give him this and that. Clive Stanton has gone on to do a few different heist and war movies. He played young Liam Neeson's character on that Taken show, but I knew he was associated with this, and I was like, I swear I'll get around to it, and then finally I did.
Is it any good? I've heard of it, but I didn't really ever get a chance to look.
The trailer was really bad, but when I actually sat down and watched it when it was on Netflix, I was like, see, this is more like The Equalizer or The Unit. So I think this works pretty good. Catherine Winnig, I've been a fan of. She's been in stuff like Wu Assassins. She was the third wheel on the show Bones for a while, but she's been in other movies like Art of the Steal, The Marksman with Liam Neeson, Polar with Mads Mikkelsen, and that one.
Another great actor, Mads Mikkelsen. He's done some good stuff.
Oh yeah, there's even a few Mikkelsens and Skarsgårds in this franchise. I think so.
Yep.
The family all gets together. So we follow the adventures of Ragnar Lothbrok. That's right. Originally a farmer, he is descended from the god of Odin, and his first wife, who becomes the queen of Kattegat, is the Gertha. His on and off opposing brother, Royo, he marries Aslog, another gal, and even fights his fourth and violent son, Ivor the Boneless, who is also based off a bunch of other tyrants. They got a stacked cast here. Donald Logue, Gabriel Byrne.
Which was interesting to see him in the first season. I was like, oh, wow. Yeah.
Linus Roach, you might know from as Thomas Wayne's dad in Batman Begins, the One Relic guy in Chronicles of Riddick. He's just one of those, you see him, you're like, I know he's either going to be like an opposing bureaucrat or he's going to be like a wise man with a price. And in this case, he's kind of everything. But man, like, he's one of those, I wouldn't call him shameless, but he's very apologetic of like the whole fascist like aspect of kings and conquering, and literally giving his son his like his current wife, and like, see, yeah, there's definitely some incestual stuff going on here. But the thing is, I think we hate him more because he's just like so self-aware of like what a scum he is, But I think that's why it's kind of compelling. I mean, we'll get into kind of Knightfall, the other show by the same creators, but like, it's really, for me, easy to see why this ranked pretty high for History Channel shows, because for a while there was like some seriously problematic ones on there that had a little propaganda in there that were just like, okay, where are you getting that? This plays like a John Wayne movie, not like a historical drama. So.
Yeah, the problem with the historical drama, especially with Vikings, if I see one thing, okay, I'll tell you this, and I know a couple friends out there are listening and going, I know what he's going to say. I already know what he's going to say. And they get bet money on it, and they're going to win the bet. If I see horned helms, that turns me off instantly. I will not watch it. Unless it's a comedy like Eric the Red, or Eric the Viking, something like that, like the Monty Python people and stuff like that.
Oh, there's a throwback.
Yeah, I'll watch it then, because I know it's all... Yeah, but if they're trying to be any type of serious and there's a horned helmet in the place, I will not watch it, because Vikings did not have horned helmets.
Yeah, it can't just be... I mean, 13th Warrior, I think, is another popular Viking movie, and I think...
I love it.
It brings up that everyone's in the rain, no one's trying to get all their tribal makeup on, they're just trying to kind of scrounge up stuff, survive, and go by their version of a biblical verse, you know?
That's a great. I took that movie. Can I mention other podcasts when you're some people
Sure,
are iffy?
yeah.
I did that on a Club Dial-Up. I brought that to them, 13th Warrior, a while ago.
Yes, you were. Yep.
And it's just one of my favorite movies.
Yep.
Because
Matthew Dawson's doing amazing stuff, and
yeah,
with his audio and everything. But yeah, I did. This is why I invited you, because I saw you were going from fan to now recurring podcast guest. And you and
I've got
Delvin
more
Cox.
guest shots on podcasts than I do my own podcast has episodes. It's kind of strange.
Oh, well, see, you got to plug your own podcast, dude. I got to see this, man.
So I've only got like I think 5 episodes right now. I've got a 6th one in the works, but I've been saying that for a month.
Damn.
But it's slow going. I'm still trying to find its pacing, but
there is an Eric the Viking on this show. I'm not sure if there's any relation. I think it's just a homage, played by Vladimir Kulik, who was in 13th Warrior, and you might know him also just from playing the Beast on the Buffy spinoff Angel, as well as the main guy pulling all the strings in the first Equalizer.
I gotta look him up. Eric the Viking on Vikings.
Yeah, Vladimir Kulik, the late great Ray Stevenson, who left us.
Oh, he was awesome.
Was also in season 6 as Odvaz, and I thought it's interesting how, much like on Ahsoka, he does a lot of music. So my sister was watching this show, and I think she stopped around like season 3 or 4. And I think it didn't help that the show, as a co-production between like MGM and A&E, which is co-owned by Disney, it was jumping to and fro.
Yeah.
And then halfway through, then started, being on Netflix. Then it was on Prime, and to finish the rest of it. And now it's pretty much everywhere if you really want to get it, even Blu-ray. But I just found it interesting how it came out at a bizarre time, and not everyone was ready to.
Yeah, it was 2012, I think it was, when it first came out. 2013.
Yeah, 2013, and then
it did 2 or 3 seasons, 3 seasons, and then got canceled, soft canceled. If someone else picks it up.
And I think the part 1 of both season 4s, 5 and 6, that had to be confusing. It's like, hey, we're going to take a break. It was kind of like they did with Battlestar. It's like we got. I do think they suffer from a few too many episodes at times, where you could blend like 5 of them together, but you forgive it because, again, just the dedication of this giant, expensive production.
Well, I guess that depends on what you're looking for in the show, because during those quote unquote slower times, during like character
I love slower times. I just mean like episodes, like maybe season 4, episode 17, kind of could have merged together with episodes 18 and 19, because there were some moments where you're like, okay, I get it.
Oh, okay, look that one up, because I can't remember. Season 4, episode 17.
Well, not exactly. I just mean
I thought there was something stuck in your mind. Sorry,
there was some that kind of lost me, and like, okay, don't watch this while going to sleep. You're going to be very lost, guys. Don't recommend that.
You're going to have some great dreams, though. I'll tell you that. Nothing makes you like, oh, I want to just pick up a sword or an axe and just go for it. Watching the show. The things you have in this show, what I call your people. When you watch a show, the people that you root for. Like in Game of Thrones, you always had your people, the people you want to survive.
Yes.
No, I've read Viking sagas and epics and stuff like that, so I know that, okay, if they start with one character, spoiler alert, guys, that the main character is probably not going to survive to the last episode, because it's just the way Viking episodes, it just doesn't work that way.
It's just kind of the Viking lifestyle, man. Join the club.
Yeah, because it's not just that person; it's who their fathers were, and then their children, and who goes from there.
No pressure, man. No pressure.
Yeah, no kidding. But I liked the brothers, King Harold Finehair and his brother. Oh God, what was his name? I'm blanking on it.
Well, but just seeing all the sons assume responsibility, and all the other guys who, the minute you see them, the show is both self-aware and they're self-aware of how they're just going to screw all this up. They're going to be a bad apple.
Yeah.
I loved, I think, around season 3 and 4, how there were the one of the first oldest son who becomes a bald, mammoth and, serving his mother. I love how he has to pretty much find some of the spies for the other kingdom, who's basically extorting and ransoming some of the other women in the village. Is like,
Vertzig.
Yeah,
Vertzig, I think, yeah.
Don't speak.
Yeah, because there was Beorn, who was Ragnar's first son, but with Lagatha.
That's the one, yeah. My bad.
And then there was Ubi, Vertzig, Sigmund.
And seeing
Ivar. Oh, but then there's the daughter who died.
There was the daughter, that was tragic. And there was Floki, who I love how played by one of
my favorite. Yeah, he's one of the Sigurds.
Yep, played by one of the Skarsgårds, and I like how he is very, like, he becomes a priest. He becomes a fortune teller.
Yeah, everything but being blind. Well, he was pretty much like the seer. When he went over to North America and stuff, and
no one could have predicted that.
he was that character. I think that character probably had some of the biggest character development across the whole show.
Giant moments, yeah.
Yeah. He went from just being a shipbuilder to being a turncoat at one point, really, when you look at it from the main character's point of view.
Yep.
To being back into the fold, to being a driving force.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He carries the weight of some of the other conflicts on him. It's pretty cool.
But he always comes out mostly on top.
Mostly. So what do you make of also, like, just this? Clearly the money shows on this giant production. Would you introduce this to, like, maybe a history class or people who are into kind of action fictional history kind of?
I think I would, but with the caveat that it's loose. It's a loose historical.
Yeah.
It's edutainment. It's like educational.
Something like this could have happened. It might not have happened in this or that way, but we weren't there, so we got to work with what we do know. I've seen some professors complain about this while other people praise it, and I'll take it with a grain of salt, because I didn't sense any agenda throughout it. It wasn't like some of these other ones where it's like, hey, we're going to do something cool. I think this happened. I was like, oh,
I think the only agenda people could try to find out of this show is showing how the Vikings came to North America and settled here for a little bit before Columbus ever showed his face around here, type of thing. But that's picking at straws to show, it's pretty much a done deal that, the Vikings showed up here long before any of the other explorers / colonizers, type of thing showed up,
a lot to take in on that account. I mean, I just find it interesting how, even people who aren't in on the joke, how these guys kind of are all hypocritical and conquer each other's kingdom and sleep with each other's women. There's going to be some macho toxic guys who are fans of this just because they feel validated, but the rest of us, are going to be in on it and know, hey, there's way more philosophy to this whole deal,
Well, that's another whole story.
Yeah,
people
misinterpret shit all the time, but it's just funny how, like, you could watch this going in tone deaf and still be entertained.
Yeah,
it might. Who knows? Maybe it might open up your brain and say, "Oh, I feel nasty."
Yeah. Well, there's just some people that would watch it, and if they're watching it with that mindset to begin with, they're probably not going to change.
Yeah, they're probably on help.
Yeah. Well, that's another can of worms. I have issues with people like that take the symbolism from the Norse and use it for their own agenda. That's not the true reasons of the symbolism, and for bad things, and that really drives me nuts too.
That's bad. created by Michael Hurst, who had created some of the Showtimes, the Tudors, as well as the Starz one season show Camelot, and is currently working on Epic's Billy the Kid.
I just saw a picture for that for Billy the Kid. And it was funny as he's coming to my wife, said he doesn't look like Billy the Kid. He looks more like a Western version of Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, Boyd Halbert from Logan, Indiana Jones 5. Yeah.
So I was like, that should be interesting. I mean, I like certain Westerns. I'm not a huge Western show person. But I like Tombstone.
There's some good ones. There's bad
Tombstone
ones.
movie was my favorite. Yeah. But
yeah, I can't do an episode of Gunsmoke, but if you want to give me something like Deadwood or something, which again just philosophize the West while also in between the food for thought, having just incredible character development, and I'm down. So Jeb Stewart, that's right, the co-writer of The Fugitive and the original Die Hard, developed the spin-off, which is set 100 years later and all that. And we were talking off air about how its third season might look a little murky. So I couldn't get into this at all. Like, I had it on, and it's like they would have something finally happen by like episode 5.
You're talking Valhalla?
Valhalla, yeah. I tried, man. I like how it looks, and I like the premise. I'm just not invested in anybody.
Yeah, it was a little hard to get into.
I don't know if it's just Netflix is imposing new rules, because I do this a lot where I know other people have too, where it's like you're watching a Netflix movie and you're wondering, did they just not want to send this to theaters because they couldn't promote it, or was it made by committee or cheap? What's going on?
Well, Prime has the showing of it, the original Vikings. So it's almost, you had to wonder if maybe Netflix said, hey, we're doing some good stuff here. Vikings is taking off. Let's try to put something out there.
Make it at all like that other one.
Yeah.
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win. On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and foodie debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
I was kind of disappointed with this huge jump in time. I kind of wanted something a little bit closer to
that
the
was
end.
Confusing.
Yeah, it's a little closer, because at this point, Christianity is pretty much taken almost completely over the Viking world, which there's so much that happens between that time that they could have had so much more. I kind of almost hope that when this season's done, Vikings Valhalla, they do a Vikings saga where they take little vignettes,
make it more of an anthology. That would be cool.
Yeah. So the way they figure they don't have enough to do like a full season of one, they could do quarter seasons, and tie them in a little bit with follow other historical figures, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Because I mean, the most they have is acknowledging and having like a narration by Hrothgar, but yeah, that would be cooler to just kind of, if it becomes a lucrative franchise. I mean, it already is, but like if you want to keep expanding it, yeah, that I'd be down with that. And it's kind of like some of these other franchises like Power and Ray Donovan and even the Breaking Bad saga. Like, if you're gonna do it, you gotta be ready to do it.
Especially with like something like, say, like Breaking Bad, there's one of the fan bases are very fanatic about it. They've watched it so much and nitpick
Some
everything.
of them got a little ugly, like Rick and Morty, where it's like, I don't watch much TV, but this is an exception. It's like, well, there's plenty of good TV, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were others who were trying to justify Walter White. I'm like, oh, guys, no, stop.
At the beginning, Walter White you understood his motivations and all that, but at one point he just flipped the switch and you're like, you're a dick.
You can be well intended and still be a villain.
Yeah. It's all your point of view, I guess, depending, No, but I mean, I like the show. It's one of my favorites. I mean, I'm rewatching. I started, like I said, rewatching to try to refresh my memory on some aspects of it for the show.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. But I found myself like I'm digging it. I'm like watching it on the bus when I commute to work and stuff like that, and in between listening to podcasts.
Right.
And it's really funny when it's like something really gruesome going on.
Yeah, don't mind me, just watching.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I also watch it on my phone. I have one of those folds, so it's a bigger screen, and I'm like, I have to like hide it some so people don't look over my shoulder and go, what the hell's this guy watching over here? You know? Meanwhile, someone's getting their guts ripped out. Yeah. But I mean, I highly recommend the show. If you've ever found out you're a fan of, like, say, the movies like Braveheart and Rob Roy and any of that stuff that stuff was not, I mean, it was historically accurate to a point, but like Braveheart, some of those people weren't even alive during the same times as the other people. They sort of condensed like 200 or 300 years worth of people into one chunk.
And some of the battles you got to take them with a grain of salt too, because they were not fighting in the fields; they were fighting on like all these other areas, and they just did the fields just for a financial restraint. You're like, I guess we got to film it this way. Like,
yeah. What's something I really like about the Vikings show was the fighting was excellent. Because I did stage combat and live steel fighting and all that.
Choreographs and trains some of the people in the fights, and he said it's a very friendly atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean,
they got freaking Edge, Adam Copeland. I mean, he's been in some other stuff. I've seen him in some WWE action movies, as well as Stephen King's Haven show, which is very amusing. And here, I was just like, yeah, this makes sense, because they got all these other unusual people who are contributing to the narrative. And I think it's just, they give everyone their moment in the sun. It's like, hey, regardless of your training, whether you're a Shakespearean trained actor or just a tough, imposing guy, we're going to get a performance out of you.
Oh, yeah, okay. You know what? I had to look him up just now, Edge on Vikings, and I didn't realize that was him.
Really?
Yeah. It was one of those people I looked at, I'm like, he looks familiar, but I was like, it must be from one of the other Viking shows I've watched, And yeah, he played somebody named I just lost it. Flatnose. Kettle Flatnose.
Kettle Flatnose of the
Wow.
North. Yeah.
I did not realize that was him. That's crazy. Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks familiar. Now that I look, especially there's a picture here of him with his crazy eyes side by side with him in a wrestling ring and him doing that face there. Now it's unmistakable. Now I see it 100%. But just with him normal, I was like, what? Yeah. That's crazy. That's good. Okay. See, stuff like that. You just don't pick it. Like you said, they do little cameos. You bring people in to do things.
They did their job.
Yeah. Like watch Lord of the Rings and all that, and you go, hey, I want to be in one of these shows. Everybody wants to have the next MCU, DCEU type of thing, and like, hey, maybe this will take off and this will be the VU, the Viking universe.
You gotta ground yourself naturally first before you can even try and start a rivalry.
Yeah. Yeah. So the fighting was great. The costumes were great. The
story is intense.
Yeah, and a lot of it is based on fact. I mean, they know they can look at the records and say, okay, they did have this person here and that person there.
Even if they're doing the usual merge two characters into one, it's like we're getting the same point across that, they're in this realm and they're taking on all the various kings of England and what have you, and they are, and we're getting an idea inside just all the arranged marriages, all the different, just fender benders, traitors. Even just when they take back a kingdom, it works for a narrative's sake, because much like how every other show has a big bad of that season that the hero must conquer or fail to conquer, they're able to kind of get into the fold and saying, okay, and this guy, he's working with this person, but is he going to be working with them by the end of this season? So there's always just the looming traitor kind of cliche that they actually make work pretty well.
Yeah. I think one thing that makes this interesting with that type of thing is the big bad this year is their best bud the next season. Like, I know we fought tooth and nail and we settled that, and that's in the past. But now we need to join forces and go after this. So sometimes they still fight.
Right. I can't forgive you, but I'll play your little game.
Yeah. I'll fight with you. We'll do this, but I'm not going to put my neck out for you. If you're getting surrounded by the enemy, then that's your ass. You're on your own.
Nope, and nope.
It's I don't know. If anybody out there's on the fence to watching this show, I would say watch it. I've actually toyed with the idea. I've seen people do it with other shows, doing like a live watch, watch it and do comments, do that for the podcast type of thing.
Well, man.
I was thinking of it, but that's a lot of work to do something like that. And I know myself, I get like a couple episodes in and be like, either I want to watch ahead quicker or be like, I don't have the time to do it, and not be regular enough.
Big commitment.
Yeah. Is that what it's 7 episodes or 7 seasons?
Mm-hmm.
More? That's a lot.
Yeah. I guess this brings us into Knightfall, which deals with Middle Ages. Same kind of deal. There's a lot of Downton Abbey actors on here, including the main guy. I think he was like one of the butlers, and here he is being the main guy in charge.
There's his name, Sir Laundry. Tom Cullen, is that who you mean?
Yep. And even the Archbishop, he was also one of the other masters of the.
It's been a while since I've watched that. I enjoyed it so great. It was a great. The Templars are always a fun group to read about and look. And appropriate with Friday the 13th just passing, because one of the stories I always hear about Friday the 13th had to do its origins with the Templar Knights.
Yep.
Which was always
basically stalkers of the night in a way.
Yeah, it was. There's tons and hundreds of things about Friday the 13th, but the one I always heard originally for the Templar Knights was that the different kings decided they wanted the Templars gold because they were richer than half the kingdoms that they could have bought some kingdoms 3 times over. And so they started going after the Templars, banning them, saying that they're heretics and all that. They don't follow the true religion. And he started taking them out, and he taking all their different houses out and then strongholds.
Yep.
And there was one last stronghold. I think it was north of Scotland. And they brought a fleet up to just take out the fleet.
Giant one.
To take out the stronghold. But when they got there, it happened to be Friday the 13th, it was empty. Completely empty. No traces, no nothing. Just gone. And they were like, what happened? It happens to be around the same time the rise of piracy started happening. You had a lot more like brigands and pirates raiding kingdoms in that area. So it was like
actual pirates, guys, not the you stole my torrent. No.
Yeah, no Napster here. We're talking about yo ho. So which I always thought was I don't know how. Yeah, oh my god, that's a long.
I was a mega upload guy.
I don't know how much truth that is, but it's an interesting story. Yeah.
Yep. And just very fascinating, just very well collected, very intriguing. And this is around the same
I
time.
like the structure they had for the Templars with it.
Yeah, they're.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, it's fine. It's pretty much there is a good mystery. Is like this is literal, Grail seeking without the Monty Python parody. But yeah, this is around the same time they're doing other kind of gritty shows like The Bastard Executioner and The Last Kingdom, and White Queen. So I thought it was interesting how this came up. And then I still like the ending of season 2. It's just like we said offline, you can tell they had like 3 more seasons.
Easily. They could have done so much more with this. It's a shame.
Prince Lewis was pretty interestingly portrayed.
Mark Hamill's character.
Talus. Yeah, he's like not the slave master. He's just kind of like the getting prisoners, like pretty much refurbished.
The gunnery sergeant type of thing,
Yeah, he's like, okay, so you're prisoners of war and you've done this and that, but we're gonna suit you up and you're gonna basically be foot soldiers now for this kingdom. And to have Landry be kind of this guy, he's lost it all. He's been disgraced, and now, he's way below where he should be ranked in this whole food kingdom. And
he was almost a master, if I remember correctly, wasn't he?
Yeah, he pretty much lost all his accolades just from being captured and being disgraced, and having Queen Joan.
Yeah, also, there was an affair there too, or something.
Yes, he had an affair, and then he's having to fight his son. That was very captivating to me. But Queen Joan and some of her kingdom stuff, and whether or not the priest wants to take advantage of her versus he just really wants an excuse to, get rid of who was set to marry her. I thought that was an interesting gray area. I could totally see something like that happening. I don't think it might have happened during exactly that time, but it might have happened later on in another kingdom.
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, it's such a short series to cover
such
so
a mediocre
much time.
rating too, and you're like, this is not a 57%.
Oh, really? That's what it was
on Rotten Tomatoes, and you're just like, no, this is a very captivating show.
Yeah, I guess it's another niche one. Like if you're into that stuff, it's really grabs you. But I mean, if someone if you put it out there to like the general public, so you have this or Breaking Bad or this or whatever, NCIS, Bohoken, whatever city they're in.
It doesn't have to be part of a franchise already pre-existing.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to go that way instead. I guess, but because I guess a lot of people when they hear like Knightfall, they think like, is this going to be vampires? They don't actually see it. But you have to have a little bit of interest in history to really get absorbed into Knightfall, I think. I mean, even though to take the chance on it, let's say it that way. If you watch it and give it a chance, you're gonna get sucked in. But you have to. It's getting past.
It was on Netflix for a while, and then I think this last year they removed it. So I bought it all on Prime, and great picture quality, great music tension. How they use CGI is really good too, because like you can tell it's CGI, but it blends with the rest of the stuff. However, they're doing the edits and color saturation, so you're like, see, this is how you do it to make up for what's not nearly a movie budget, but just like the last one, like whoever planned this, staged this, pre-visualized it. Jeremy Renner was one of the producers. Yeah.
Was he really? I didn't know that.
I think, I don't know if it was through his production company or if he just shelled out money, but Jeff Pinkner, who was a screenwriter on the new Jumanji movies, as well as infamous stuff like The Dark Tower and Fifth Wade, and also produced it. He's produced a lot of other movies and shows too, like Zoo and From, as well as
Zoo was fun. I read the book that was based on. So,
the Patterson produced show.
Yeah.
He also produced other stuff like the Amazon spy sci-fi shows Citadel and the live action Cowboy Bebop.
With all that backing behind it, wonder why it's not getting...
I think there was a change in like vice president of programming at History.
Oh,
and you know how that goes when you encounter people who don't want to cut the mustard, so to speak. You don't want to
History Channel has long been a World
reality
War I and
channel.
World War II, and
My
like you said,
grandmother used
reality
to
channels.
call it the History Channel. Rest in peace, because that's for a while that's all you saw.
Yeah. So any type of other history other than like more recent, they don't really get into anymore, you know. And now they do the what is it, paranormal and all that stuff. You see,
Yeah.
yeah. Mystery of Oak Island. What the hell is this doing? Yeah. Oh, it's a shame. I mean, it's a show like that. I like last I remember, because again, it's been a while since I've seen it. they were captured. They were escaping, and he just got back to one of the temples, the strongholds for the Knights Templar, and Mark Hamill's character made an appearance, but then was leaving again to try to rally some troops up or something like that.
Yep.
And I don't think anything happened after that. That was like kind of like the ending of it. It's like, okay, he's going to rally the troops,
and the knights have all kind of fled, and
yeah, they were pretty much
they know they won't be accepted by all these other areas. I have it written down here, but I liked how they're all getting together and getting their strategy down and trying to find out ways to regroup and communicate with each other. It was like, see, yeah, that's interesting. When you don't have a carrier pigeon, you know, on your side, they plan to escape to Paris through the Jimson mines. And I like how they're stopping all the other knights' execution, including some of the traitors. And our main hero had the wonderful line, it's like, God's greatest army has evaporated like water in the desert. That's bleak.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And they would know. I mean, they did a lot of the fighting and
it went from being a TV-14 show to a TVMA. There was way more gory impediments and occasional language. No extra nudity, but still just intense. But yeah, I'm gonna read the novel that was like a tie-in prequel thing. That's as good as we're gonna get, because we, in our mind, we have to figure out what season 3 or 4 would have looked like.
Yeah, I'm actually going to Amazon right now to look that up so I can put it on my wish list here, or my to buy.
Dude, do the eBay routine, dude. It's way cheaper.
Is it really?
Like $5 less. Amazon will always like add like $5 to $10 extra, and you're like, where is this inflation coming from?
It's true. It's true.
Oh.
Yeah, here's book 1 of 1, Knightfall, Tangled Crown. No, I don't think Batman was in that movie, that show.
Yeah, right.
Different
that's
Knightfall.
one of the first thing that keeps coming up is the DC comic. Knightfall, right?
Based on a TV series, The Infinite Deep.
Right. Now a hit TV show. Well, apparently not enough of it.
Yeah, no kidding. Following the fall of Acre, Landry, Godfrey, and the other survivors of the siege flee and sail with boats across the Mediterranean. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I would recommend this too. This might even be easier to digest because it's just 2 seasons, 10 episodes, 8 to 10 episodes, and you could mainly just see, you can see the wheels turning in like the writer's room. It's like, and now what? And now what?
Yeah, the only bad thing about someone getting into that is they won't get to finish. Because you don't have that third season, unless you read the book. It looks like, but it's still a good story. It's still great. Yeah,
I mean, it's just so strong. It's kind of like Firefly. You got to take a chance on it, even if you don't get complete closure. I think with enough. I mean, with every other movie or show coming back, there's no telling what could get revived in the future now.
True.
Hey,
Hey,
likely
you know what?
won't, because Disney wants to just act like this doesn't exist.
Watch the 2 series and write your own fanfic on what happens next.
There you go.
Yeah, use it for creative juices for the next piece. You know,
inspire them to do another similar show. I mean, it might have been hell on earth just organizing this whole thing, but you can't deny the results.
Yeah. I mean, the costumes, the armor was, I mean, everything's just
the
really spot
staging,
on.
the way they walk and talk. I feel like I'm not getting. This is not a trip to medieval times. Like, this is actual dedication. This is I would watch this as a play. I would watch this as a listen to this as an audiobook. It would be very captivating as a podcast or even as a web series. It's just just like I said, the props are phenomenal, look well researched and plausible. The era, the setting is good, and the themes are larger than life. They're able to overcome their cliches with all this other subtexting and characterization. And so, unlike other stuff, which is often just let's bore you for 40 minutes and then insert, gore and sex, to get your attention and get the subscription up. It's like, no, this is not about the next who gets decapitated at the end of the episode. This is about, I want to see what happens next in this, again, sword and sandal period drama.
Yep. That's a good point. Sword and sandal, like you said there. Like, do you think quite a few years ago,
it was the rage. Yeah, Spartacus. Yeah, the TV show.
Them, were they the kickoff to allow some of this stuff to be able to produce?
Oh, absolutely. I haven't even seen it syndicated since, because even basic cable's afraid of showing.
Yeah, well, Spartacus you couldn't put on. Oof, there's some gruesome stuff on that.
Even at 2 a.m, they'd be like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's an hour show. It'd be down to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
No, I think something like that really opened it up. Gladiator,
totally. 300,
Spartacus,
Troy.
300. Yeah, and then people were getting bored of.
You mentioned Rob Roy. There was definitely some other ones here and there that were blending a wartime period drama with some action adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, seeing all these other movies that would mix in sci-fi, fantasy, horror, and action elements, like The Mummy and Indiana Jones, and then have that be in the backdrop there, I think made you interested in the actual historical legends even more.
Yeah. Well, that's what 13th Warrior was. It was a bet to make the bores of literature interesting.
You ever read the book?
Oh yeah. Eaters of the Dead.
And people forget it's a Michael Crichton thing, and it's like, you're not getting Jurassic Park. You're getting a fun mix of dread and mystery and other adventure terror by these guys going into the unknown, and then taking up. I mean, if they want to do what that did, which is take elements of Beowulf and the Iliad to some extent, where this
it was
stranger in a strange land,
and even Falad's actual writings, they pigeoned into a real life guys. Yeah,
sweet.
Even Falad was a real guy, and they pigeonholed it into an area where it made sense in his writings that this would have happened. And so the idea is that he actually co-wrote a Beowulf because things get twisted and changed to make him more entertaining, and he's an entertaining not only scholar, but he's flourishes at some, and that's how that came about. But I could go on about that too.
No, it's all very fascinating. That is for sure. And I just seeing how this all comes together is just very fascinating, because you're just like, hey, there's no way around this. Like, this could be digested by scholars and other people wanting to learn about earlier times.
Mm-hmm. It's a good gateway drug for history.
It totally is. So those who are ADD are going to probably get into it, and those who are, purists, there's somehow I think it's kind of like public speaking. Somehow you're going to get to both demographics, both exact audiences, but
you get the experts rereading books going, wait, did that happen? Or I don't remember that. And you get the people that are new to it going, is that really what happened? Let's read and see, and check up on it
again.
I mean, I know it's I don't want to say rekindled I've always been into Vikings. And it was just a nice thing to see it become popular, not like some kind of crazy, because for the longest time anybody said, oh, I like Vikings, like, oh, you have a certain belief, it's like, no, that's not it. I like it. There's a lot more to them.
I want to be a brute like them.
Oh, it's the spirituality of them, the idea of the gods and what they stand for and different things like that, and the idea, they say, you're going to die when you're going to die, so live life to its fullest. Because if you're supposed to drown and you move to a desert, you're going to end up like drowning in like a bowl of water somehow. Pass out and pass out from heat exhaustion, face down in your water, and done. Something like that's going to happen. But then to see it getting mainstream is really awesome, and seeing like historically done too, like more accurate than other things have
A
had.
very noble effort, as opposed to, I mean, this show. Suits is another show that's trending on Netflix now after having been a hit cable show for 10 years, spinoff included, and same kind of deal. Like, it didn't win anything. It had a few noms for like acting and camera work, but it was irrelevant. It's like if enough people are tuning in and talking about something, you made an impression.
Yeah.
It might take a while because no one could predict how oversaturated we were going to get, where we're creating too much stuff.
Did I don't think it did, but did Vikings get any nominations at any point in time?
Let's see. But my main issue, my main thing is, you don't have to really.
No, I agree. I was just curious if they got anything for like
Irish
cinematography
film and TV awards. So the Saturn Awards, there you go. They nominate anything sci-fi, fantasy, or horrors. They got a nom for best presentation on TV, and some camera noms, Emmy noms for outstanding visual effects, and nominee for makeup. Awards. So winner Satellite Award of best TV show for 2018. But
a lot of Canadian awards.
Yeah, I saw that too. Kind of like Ray Donovan. You're just like, why are they handing it out? Why isn't this needs a few Golden Globes or Emmys?
2020, they got outstanding special visual effects in a supporting role.
Yep, because there's a lot of those green screen moments that are very convincingly done. Directors Guild of Canada has some noms, and then wins for picture editing. Best Young Artist Award, but like to say, a lot of them are Irish or British Columbia awards. Hey, hats off to them. It might make a bunch of top 10, most epic shows of all time list. IGN, Internet Gaming Network, gave out some summer movie awards for best TV action series. There you go.
I'm surprised there was never. I don't think there was, but like a video game for the show, like a video game spinoff.
I thought I did see there was a video game. Let's see, TV show, video game. Yep, the game. 2020.
I know there was one on mobile, but
that's the one, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I didn't really count the mobile because the mobile would be like.
Catherine Winnig won an award for what's it say? Women's Image Network Award.
All right.
She won in 2020.
She was like black belt or something before she started doing the show.
Yeah, right.
Had the fighting experience.
I saw stunts. I think was on her credits at one point. Helen Shaver, Canadian actress, who's become a director in recent years. You look at her credits, and she's done everything from the original Amityville Horror to Poltergeist, like Legacy show, to the 4400. So she won an award for outstanding show directed by a woman. So there you go.
Wow.
But like you say, this is here and there. This is not constant.
Right. I don't know. It looked like that was a lot of hard work for the actors, but it looked like it was a lot of fun. I've seen some of the outtakes.
I can only imagine the
show,
long days and the temperature.
The cold wouldn't bother me. I'm an Arctic breed. It's the hot, the heat when it got into it. I mean, I've been in armor before when it was like 80, 90 degrees and stuff, and you're wearing like a ton of armor and the gambus underneath you. It's hot. I can't imagine doing it and say, okay, we got to take 22. Everybody get back in line and charge. I'm like, shit. I don't know if I could do that. Not now.
Unit. Yeah.
No, I actually really want to like, I can't because my little ones are up now. But like after this, we're done here. I want to like put the next episode on and watch it. But not a show to have on with little kids, running around.
Oops.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's what your Dax does, Daddy. Yeah, yeah.
Don't think about it too hard.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think? Okay, I have a question for you. What did you think of Bjorn Ironside's death?
I was unsure at first if that had been they were going to write him off to begin with, or the actor wanted to become a big movie star. It's kind of a rarity because usually when there's anyone else, they get all picky. Oh, that actor's gone. I don't want to watch it anymore. It's kind of just in that rarity where you're kind of expecting something like that, like tragedy, I guess. So I guess a lot of people just they weren't bothered by it.
I liked how they portrayed it.
It's a good point, though. You never know what to expect.
Yeah. And how it rallied everybody to go after Ivar and the Rus, to beat them back.
Funny how it works. Yeah, no, I think there was enough leading into it, so I wasn't really completely shocked. You're not going to encounter too many spoilers because this is a really, really thick movie show.
It's I think it was. I wasn't surprised how they did it, and I wasn't shocked, but I like how they did it because it was like, here's this guy that was like, he got the nickname Ironsides because no iron touched him. All during his thing, he got injured, but never super. He got super once or twice, but that's how he got the name because his dad Ragnar was like, no steel touched him, no iron touched him, nothing. Arrows turned away from him, and then arrows, it was like the last bits,
Yeah. I mean, he kind of has a death wish in a way where you're just like, yeah, there's no way this ends well for him.
Yeah, well, he's going to die in that bed. And he's like, I want to put my armor on one last time, which kind of fits with the whole mentality of I want to die in battle and go to Valhalla, even though he suffered his wounds from battle.
Come at me, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, because it was
and I think the thing is, he's not afraid to die, but he doesn't have a big head. Like, he legit, call it brainwashing, call it man with a plan, call it whatever you want to call it. He thinks it's his destiny, and you can't argue with people who think that's their destiny. It's just like with any religious faction or something. This has been ingrained into you since the days of young. So like, there's just no getting around it. Like, this is what they think they want to aspire to be.
Right.
A lot to take in, sure, and not how I do it, but that's what it is. I'd like to at least stampede through that castle one more time. That's just me.
Oh, some of those castle battles were crazy. Like,
they really were.
The like the Paris one where they had the multiple arrow shooter. I can't remember the name.
It's definitely a light PG-13, but it could also, like, there's enough bloodshed that the gore heads will still be entertained, but not to the point where you're like, okay, I can't show this to teens.
Yeah. It's not like they're throwing buckets of blood at the camera type of thing.
That blurring, there's a reason it's TV-14, but it's also, to its credit, very organized, very intriguing. You can keep track of everybody on that said battlefield.
Though they did save the moments to earn the rating for appropriate times, like when they killed the one king of England off, with using the bloody eagle. When they what was his name, King when they cut him up, they took him. The brothers were avenging Ragnar's death, and they had him, and they cut his back open, broke his ribs, tied him up, and spread the skin and the bones, and put him up into the bloody eagle. That was brutal. That was gruesome. So it earned its rating that day for that one. But the battles were, most of the battles were less bloody than that scene. Yeah.
Yeah, Knightfall was way more gruesome because, like, you open up with a guy getting impaled with a cross in the mouth. And you're like, whoa.
He's like, this is how it's going to be, is it?
Well, and it's not done in a goofy action movie way where you can take it with a grain of salt because it's kind of unintentionally campy, but like this, they're doing that to literally hammer in that these guys are
joke,
religion bound, and they are literally feel like they're not only vigilantes of their respective time, but they're also prosecuting in a way.
Yeah,
the sins of the father.
Yeah, that's right. All that would carry down the Knightfall. I forgot about that aspect of it.
Wouldn't it be funny if you saw some people who were very heavily religious and radical, and they saw this and they start trying to justify it? Oh, I felt dirty. Oh, that's me on screen. Oh,
I'm sure there's some
cancel it.
I'm sure there's some people out there that
some insecurity. You can't watch that. That makes me and my affiliation look bad. Oh. I've done that before where I had some relatives who were Mormons and watching a few other movies or shows. They're like, that didn't happen. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, yes, it did. It happened. You just don't want it to.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has done some fucked up shit.
Oh, if you did it, you're not living. Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing something wrong.
Everybody's
if you didn't have to course correct, then you're probably not much of a leader. There's nothing to lead. So Ken, where can we find you on the interwebs? You're very active on Twitter. Obviously, I met you for the Who Would Win podcast group, which is just a wonderful fan base. Everybody just wants to bring a crazy fictional battle, and half the time it's not even about who would this guy win in a fight. It's half the time it's just funny, just excuse for comedy.
Yeah, it's
a voice actor is often the judge. I'm like, whoa, this is a crazy excuse for geekdom. I love it.
They've evolved. That show's evolved a lot since I first started listening to it, and it's just awesome. I love the way James and Ray are taking it. Yeah.
They play off each other well. They're in it to win it. The other comedians who show up have so many other just promising and just very wonderful projects. I've been fortunate enough to work with Crystal Storm, the audio drama gal, and Delvin Cox's talk show and video game podcasts on the PlayStation Experience is also a wonderful listen.
Yep. Yeah.
Kevin Goatee, Got into the Sacred Cow. It's just, what a collective.
Yeah,
they should be their own podcast network.
It's really, it is. It's like, I don't know who started, but it's like its own little circle of podcasts.
The circle of life.
They're all great shows. I'm fans of all of them, and I'm active on all of their stuff. Club Dial-Up, the Delvin Cox Experience, the Who Would Win show, Gutting the Sacred Cow. Listen to
Knowing Is Half the Podcast.
Knowing Half Podcast. The Crystal's Tales network with all the other
Tales
drama.
of the Forgotten.
Yep. I was in her Star Wars Legacy.
Yes, you were.
Played a Jedi Master.
I was in her recent erotic horror drama.
Oh, were you? Oh, I'm sorry.
Being a nerd stereotype. Yeah. Toxic internet troll.
And Matt's got the whole, Mortalverse. He's got a new show coming up with that.
Yeah, Matt Dawson's he's going to be pretty much the number one fan film kind of guy, but in audio form.
Yeah. He's got a show coming out. They're working on. He's mentioned it, the audition, so I can say it. It's called The World's Finest Radio Show.
Oh, wow.
It's coming out. I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but he's already said about the auditions for it. But I've and mentioned it on his own Twitter feed. So
I'll hear it at a later date. So
yeah,
be okay.
I need to sign an NDA, damn it, so I don't have to worry. But I'm going to be in that when that comes out.
Sweet.
And hopefully, you never know what happens with the Who Would Win show. You know, hashtag let the Viking judge. Hashtag Beorn for WWW show judge. But as far as me myself, I'm on Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky as Beorn the Viking. If you see Beorn the Viking, it's usually me because I always try to log in and get the name.
It's gotta be you, man.
And my podcast is Beorn's BEORNS _ keep. That's on Twitter as well. I'm not calling it X. And
I don't think anyone is. Much like the HBO Max, they're trying to redo their name more time than Prince.
yeah, we're kidding.
You're like, nope, you're this.
No, they're just Max. So I'm on all those. I'm on, just guests on many things. I was guest on Delvin Cox show. We did the gun control thing recently. That was a very interesting experience. Opened up some eyes and got a really big conversation going. So that was, great thing, great experience. And most recently now, as of this airing, I'm on the Jacked Up Review. For now, that's it. I mean, like I said, if you see Beorn the Viking, BEORN, not BJ, not Bjorn. It's two different spellings, non-traditional spelling, which is real. I got it from one of the epic sagas. So
that's a hell of a plug. Welcome back anytime. Any other movies, music, TV, even just comics you want to talk about? We're going to talk about some of our favorite Versus comics, and there's a bunch with Batman, Judge Dredd, and the Predator and Alien.
I was a huge comic collector when I was younger. Got out of it because it was just too expensive, too many things going on. But
there's online resources.
There is. I just have to take the time to do it. I've got so many resources because I'm also doing some writing and stuff like that.
Oh, sweet.
I'm working
love to
on
see any of your books.
I have a lot of ideas and chapters. I have trouble making them into books. Like I'm working on an a Vikings versus Predator book.
Now that I would pay to see.
I've been working on that for a little bit since that movie Prey came out. I was like, I could do that with Vikings. And
There you go, Navajo.
And change the thing up. I have a crazy dark Christmas story I'm working on.
Sweet.
Just random other stuff that pops up in my mind. I can never. This is probably, I think, my wife says I'm ADHD. I got to try to figure that out because it's like got tons of stuff. It's like, oh, what? This is a great idea. Let's jump off and do this.
Fan films that are going to become fan audio dramas, but I also have some original stuff in there as well. But I'm just not looking forward to the pitch because I know people are going to be like, oh, it's a crime underworld thing, like Tarantino or John Wick. I'm like, well, if it gets it funded, sure. But it's not trying to be like those, but I guess I'll take it.
Hey, you never know, man. It just takes one person to say, yeah, I believe in it, and go for it.
You're right. The most unlikely one, too. And you're like, whoop, here we are. It was wonderful having you on here. And
yes, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Welcome back anytime.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up